I'm at the entrance corridor to the display area of our museum, and there's three elements here. We have the famous wing collection. We have over 500 sets of wings mounted on our wall here. They come from a variety of air forces, countries, individual aviators, and the interesting part to me is almost every set of wings in this case comes from an individual, family, or donation. So what you're looking at here is truly a collection of aviators from every corner of the planet. So that's the first of the three elements of this hallway. The second element is the International Air and Space Hall of Fame, this portrait gallery. Every year we have an induction ceremony for the International Air and Space Hall of Fame where we induct 8 to 10 people or groups into the Hall of Fame. It's been in business since 1961. And for me, the very best part of the Hall of Fame is we have the induction ceremony every year, and it's a chance to meet, if not the actual flyer or the industrialist in the painting, we meet their families. And often coming through the door, we can recognize people from certain families just because they have such a strong resemblance to the aviators and the corporate giants that we've included in that Hall of Fame. We have hundreds of people in that gallery. This particular hallway, we feature something like 60 portraits from different aviators. So those are the first two elements. But my favorite element of this hallway is our mural. Our mural is called the March of Transportation, and it's 450 feet long. Most people believe it's original to the building, and it's not quite. In 1934, when the building was created as a temporary building for the Pacific Exposition, they had murals up here all the way around the inside of the building showing the construction of Ford automobiles. This was and will always be, a Ford building. It started off life as a production facility. They built Ford cars right here on the floor back in the mid-30s. Well, at a given point that exhibition ended, and the Ford Motor Company wanted to turn over their temporary building to the city of San Diego. And one of the things they needed to do was take down those industrial murals. So Juan Iriaga, who had been the art director for that exhibition, is a very, very famous man. Even though it's not a name we know today, you would know him if you're alive in the mid-1930s as a big part of Hollywood. Hollywood at the time relied a lot on painters for their special effects. And Mr. Iriaga was one of those gentlemen that could paint magnificent backgrounds that Hollywood could use to make up for what they couldn't build as far as a set. If you were building space or an ancient city, it's much easier to have a background artist fill in the top and give you that fake background while the actors are working in the foreground. Mr. Iriaga was one of those gentlemen, but he was at the top level. So he came here for 1934 exhibition, 34-35, and when it was over with and this building was going to be turned over to the city, he came in and created this, the March of Transportation. It starts with two cavemen, wondering what they're going to do for dinner. And as it goes through, it's each of the advancements in transportation that carried mankind forward. On this half of the building, it's eras. It gives you a general idea of what was happening at the time. Once you get to the halfway part, each of the elements start to represent a specific year. So you start seeing the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. So you know that's 1492. It has the first airship in 1900. So you can actually look up at this, and even though on this side it doesn't show you specific dates, by the time you get to the other side, it's telling you specific, right down to the actual year that he's trying to represent. And the best part of the whole mural is they told him to leave the last 60 feet, leave it blank. So after he'd finished the mural, he gets around to the other side and they said, now paint what you think they'll have in the year 2000. So when we get over there by the Blue Angel, at the very far side of the museum, that last 60 feet we're going to show you. It's what he thought we would have today. And the pro tip is he was a little wrong. He did get the Prius right. And we'll go show you that in just a second. One of the things I should mention is how the painting was done. You're not going to believe this. What you're looking at is the world's largest paint-by-number painting. What Mr. Iaraga and his staff of 8 people did is they started over here and they sketched the outlines of each of the elements. They didn't have time to paint it though. This was a very rushed project. They had to go quick. So all they did was sketch the whole painting all the way around, this whole mural. But the artist also put numbers in each of the spots. And behind them on another trolley was a small army of, I guess you'd call them colorists. Each of them have a little pot of paint with a number on it. And as the trolley gets pushed past, they'd say, oh, this part is green, this part is blue. And if you have the right number, you just fill in that part of the mural. So you look up, what you see in front of you is the world's largest paint-by-numbers painting. And now we have a mystery. This mural right here is original to the building. It was painted back in the mid-30s. It represents a scientific achievement that at the time blew everyone away. It was our first trip to the stratosphere. And the only way that we could get that high back then was with a high altitude balloon. So a couple very brave aeronauts climbed into that contraption right there, and they rode it tens of thousands of feet higher than anyone else had at the time. Now, why is that in the building though? If we were a Ford building at the time, this doesn't fit. So what we found in our archives was photographs of this mural from back in the mid-30s, and on the floor in front of it was the gondola from that balloon. So apparently for some reason, and we've never been able to track that down, maybe Ford had something to do with creating the gondola, we're not sure. But for whatever reason, when this was first built, they put this mural up to showcase the gondola from that stratospheric balloon. Years passed, the gondola was moved. I don't even know where it was taken to. Hopefully the Smithsonian, but we don't know. It wasn't part of our property as the Air Museum. It was something that predated us by 50 years. So here's the mystery on top of that mystery. In those photographs that we have from the mid-1930s, the painting is complete. We have a picture of it being painted, and then we have a photograph of it complete. That aircraft that you see up there is not on the mural in the mid-30s. And we can't tell you when it was added. Now it does fit. That was one of the aircraft that was used. We think somebody thought, hey, why did we leave out the airplane? It should have been part of this painting. So at some point in our past, some artist went up there and put an accurate, period-correct aircraft that would have been at this event, and they painted it in. It is not on the original photographs. So that just seems so strange to me. I can't think of a reason why somebody would come in and add an airplane to a mural after the event. So if anyone has any idea, please let us know.
What's it called?
Montgolfier balloon. That's the first thing that ever carried humans up into the sky. Well, it took a lawyer, and then it took humans. This is mostly just to show that it's individual years. Fulton steamship. So I mean, each of these are things that back in the 30s, our education system was good enough where anybody seeing this mural would go, oh, that's 1801, that's 1805. They'd be like this walking around the building. Nope. Pony Express rider. You got Wells Fargo stage. We've had fake airships right up to here, and now there's, after this one, everything from here over was built. This is 1899 right here, because there's the first Mercedes car. You got bicycles that start to look like bicycles. LZ1, so that's 1900. The Balerio, 1909. The Wright Flyer, 1903. See how it's, we're just barely moving up. So that beautiful airship I told you about, that's Bodensee. That's in the background right there. It doesn't look like any of the war ones. It doesn't look like the Hindenburg. It's different. This thing was sleek. It's like a racing yacht version of a airship. It could only carry a handful of passengers. It even had spy equipment built into it. It was just the most radically cool airship of all time. Now, you got Admiral Byrd, because it's 1934, 1935. The artist couldn't get away without including him. So there's Admiral Byrd on the South Pole. And there's the Hughes H-1, like the one we're building in the basement. So that's 1934 right there. So that's where we're at. We're at 1935 right here. He picks the fastest railroad locomotive in service. He includes that with one of the old-fashioned ones to show the leap ahead of transportation. And then the Cuddy Sark, and up there, that's a Pan Am Clipper. That's the big airship that was the first passenger aircraft to cross the Pacific. It connected Asia with America for the first time by air. So 1935 was this incredibly exhilarating time to be in aviation, and the mural matches that. It brings you right to that stop mark. His information cutoff was 1935. Nothing up here could be past that. So that's why that last 60 feet is so fun. All right, what I get to do now is I get to welcome you to the year 2000 as viewed by a very good artist in 1935. What we see now is they present him with a unique challenge. Go ahead and paint the future. That's really not what he is famous for. Most of his backdrops for things like Gone with the Wind or King Kong, they weren't depicting the future. So what he did is he extrapolated from his own present. He looked, what is the tallest building in the world right now? The tallest building at the time that he was painting this was the Empire State Building. So the first thing that jumps out when you look at his version of the year 2000, they didn't have any glass-fronted skyscrapers back then. There were none. So there wasn't a way for him to extrapolate. What he did is he took the Empire State Building and he made a whole city of super improved, taller, stronger, bigger, faster buildings. His version of the future was one of success and excess. You don't see columns of smoke. The pollution of the Victorian era was gone. In his version of the year 2000, we had conquered all the challenges, including the environmental challenges caused by those. So if you look up, you have airships parachuting passengers down to their destination. They just fly over your house and you drop right down into your own yard. There's massive restaurants floating above the city, a lot of them, and they're restaurants suspended by helicopter type machinery. So apparently, if you want to go eat, I'm not quite sure how you get to the restaurant. My favorite part of the whole mural is he correctly predicted the Prius. If you look at his version of vehicles, they're somewhat familiar to us today. I like the ships are very similar to modern super yachts. The aircraft in the air are mostly airships, so I think in his version of the future, that's what we were using to get around. It's very much, I wouldn't say so much steampunk as it's his version of a very idyllic future. And I appreciate that he had this much confidence that we'd get it all right. See, this is the kind of stuff I really want to share with people. So many folks come through our building and they walk through, and this is where everybody looks.